Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much for coming for this Sunday's Krishna Fest. Tonight we have our very own Dravida Prabhu is going to be giving class. And Dravida, just a little background. Most of you know Dravida. He's been here for so many years, and he's part of our family. But, you know, he joined Krishna Consciousness ISKCON in 1973 and became initiated by Srila Prabhupada in 1974. But he's done many wonderful things. He's not only you might say, an English scholar. He helped edit so many of Prabhupada's books and help in their production. But he's also a Sanskrit scholar, and he's a poet. And he's also very, very knowledgeable in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I want to welcome Dravida Prabhu. And we hope we always love his poetry. So hopefully he'll be able to share a couple of poems with us tonight, too. Hare Krishna. So please applaud and welcome Dravida Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Let's sing a song. Thank you. You should clap for the garland, because Guru Krishna Prabhu and his good wife Nimai are bringing these wonderful garlands every week. Each day is more and more opulent for Prabhupada. They get from their own garden, is it? Guru Krishna? It's from your own garden, right? Gopal's garden. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's see what we have here. On this 29th day of July, 2018, in SanDiego, we're reading from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj, with translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And I thought I'd share something with you tonight, where Lord Chaitanya is beginning his teachings to Sanatana Goswami. As a little background here, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, appearing as his own devotee. He came for 1486, which is now 530 years, 32 years. And Lord Chaitanya comes in the same yuga that Krishna comes. And that's once every day of Brahma. Now, that's 24 hours of Brahma is over 8 billion years. So you can imagine how rare it is. Only 5 centuries ago or so, Lord Krishna came in the form of Lord Chaitanya in order to give the science of bhakti in its most easy form by the collective chanting of the holy name. And also for his own internal purposes, to relish his own qualities from Srimati Radharani's point of view. He was in the spiritual world, and he saw himself in the mirror, in a jeweled foreground. He says, who is this beautiful person? I want to relish his beauty, but I can't because it's not compatible. And he understood that Srimati Radharani was enjoying more happiness than he in their pastimes. She's the servant, and she's serving him. And she wanted to understand her love for him, her happiness, and his own qualities through the lens of his love. It's very esoteric. At the beginning of this book it's described, and then the rest of the book describes it. But in the process of teaching and spreading Krishna consciousness, he didn't write many verses. Only 8 are definitely attributed to him. The famous Shikshastika about the chanting of the holy name. But he taught. He taught, his main students were Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami. So in this Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the definitive biography of Lord Chaitanya, the most famous one because it contains not only the pastimes but his teachings as well. There are several chapters, especially in the Madhya Lila, dealing with his instructions to Sanatana Goswami, who was the eldest of the 8 Goswamis. And so Sanatana Goswami, his picture's on the cover, no, not this volume, different volume, but he was able to break free of his government entanglement. He was actually a minister, along with his brother, to the Nawab Hussain Shah. But when he met Lord Chaitanya, they gave that up as insignificant. Chakbatu namashesha manalapati. And they went to Vrindavan, and on the way to Vrindavan, in Benares, Sanatana Goswami met Lord Chaitanya and received instructions from him for 30 days. So the beginning of this instruction, Sanatana Goswami surrenders, and he asks the question. He says, who am I, and why am I suffering? And why are the threefold miseries giving me suffering? If I don't understand this, what's the use of all my erudition? He was very highly educated, knew several languages, but he says it's worthless if I don't understand these answers. And what is sadhya and sadhana? This is a very nice phrase for us to understand. Sadhya and sadhana. Sadhya is the goal of life, and sadhana is how to achieve it. Now we all have goals, but what's the ultimate goal of the soul? This is the question, not just intermediary goals of material life. So then Lord Chaitanya answers him, and I'm going to read just the first half of the Bengali and the translation to this. This sets up his whole instructions. Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nitya Das, Krishnera Tatasta Shakti, Beda Bed Prakash. It is the living entity's constitutional position to be an eternal servant of Krishna, because the living entity is the marginal energy of Krishna and a manifestation simultaneously one with and different from the Lord, like a molecular particle of sunshine or fire. Krishna has 3 varieties of energy. Now we're going to go over some of these things in a few minutes. Then Lord Chaitanya quotes various shastra to support that statement. And then he comes to text number 117. That was 108. It's not an accident that essential verse is number 108. Very important number. Krishna buli se jiva nadi bahimukha ataeva maya tare deya sangsara dukkha. Forgetting Krishna, the living entity has been attracted by the external feature from time immemorial. Therefore, the illusory energy or maya gives him all kinds of misery in his material existence. So I'm going to read this purport, but before I do, we all want to know where we came from. Or if we are somewhat familiar with the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, how did we get here? And how can we get back to the spiritual world? So this verse is one of the most important ones for answering that. And Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport. When the living entity forgets his constitutional position as an eternal servant of Krishna, that's verse 108, he is immediately entrapped by the illusory external energy. The living entity is originally part and parcel of Krishna and is therefore the superior energy of Krishna. The living entity is endowed with inconceivable minute energy that works inconceivably within the body. But the living entity, forgetting his position, is situated in material energy. The living entity is called the marginal energy because by nature he is spiritual, but by forgetfulness he is situated in the material energy. Thus he has the power to live either in the material energy or in the spiritual energy. And for this reason he is called marginal energy. Being in the marginal position, he is sometimes attracted by the external illusory energy, and this is the beginning of his material life. When he enters the material energy, he is subjected to the threefold time measurement, past, present, and future. Past, present, and future belong only to the material world. They do not exist in the spiritual world. The living entity is eternal, and he existed before the creation of this material world. Unfortunately, he has forgotten his relationship with Krishna. The living entity's forgetfulness is described herein as anadi, which indicates that it has existed since time immemorial. One should understand that due to his desire to enjoy himself in competition with Krishna, the living entity comes into material existence. Om jnana timarandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmilatam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. Where's Balaram? Can you give me just a little more volume here? I think my voice will be gone by the end, in other words, because So, let's just contemplate the significance of these two verses. The first one I read, Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas. Now this is the explanation by Krishna himself, in the form of Lord Chaitanya. The Jiva is all of us. We are all Jivas, means we are spiritual beings. We're little quanta, or little particles of spirit, irreducible, eternal, never born, never die. And what is our nature? Krishnera Nityadas. We are eternal servants of Krishna. Now, I never thought I was an eternal servant of Krishna. I mean, I grew up, I never heard of Krishna. I didn't believe in God, you know. So, how can I believe this information? Well, this is the basis, really, of the whole science of Krishna consciousness. In other words, we are attempting to reverse this process that's described in this verse. Having forgotten Krishna, who knows how long ago, millions of lives. That's why it says anadi, virtually since the beginning of time. Maya has given us so many miseries. And what are those miseries? So the threefold miseries. I mean, as long as I've been aware of, you know, hearing the news and just living in this world, there have been one or more of these either threatening or actually producing misery for so many people. Sometimes myself, inevitably. I remember when I was 5 years old, I was a very mischievous kid. And I had I forget what, the flu or something like that. I didn't want to stay in bed. I went jumping around in my room. I remember that, you know. And I came down with some serious disease. It was some kind of pneumonia or, you know, encephalitis or something. And I was whisked off to the hospital, and for a month, nobody could come close to me because I was contagious, you know. It was a very traumatic experience. I could see my parents and my brother once a day. They would come to the window. I was on the bottom floor, and I was there. Couldn't even talk to them. You know, that was almost it for me. I came close to leaving this body. So, and it's been one thing after another ever since, right? Whether it's some emotional thing or some threateningness or economics or now the fires in Northern California. And always in those early days, you know, now that you don't feel it as much, but it's just as dangerous today. The threat of nuclear holocaust. I mean, from when I was like 7 years old, you know, I knew about the atom bombs blowing up. Just a few years earlier, I was only, this is the mid-50s, it was only 10 years earlier in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And all of these things, and that, you know, that was a central anxiety throughout my life, and everybody had that. So this is called the threefold miseries. The miseries caused by the body and mind, miseries caused by other living entities, mostly human beings, but it can be insects and anything. And the acts of God. In other words, the natural disturbances. Earthquakes. We had an earthquake here once. When was it? In the mid-90s, 94 I think it was. It had occurred up in, the center was up in Joshua Tree. It was pretty serious, but there's no one up there, no casualties. All the way down here, I'm chanting up front, where the ashram is up there. We had the store was up there, you may remember, those who have been there. And I was chanting Hare Krishna, it was like, you know, 6:30. And suddenly the whole building is moving, like I'm on a surfboard or something. I ran down and outside. I should have run to the deities, but I wasn't at Krishna conscious. Running outside, and the sidewalk is also moving. And we had a different set of chandeliers, but I looked inside, they were swaying, everything like that. That was as bad as it got, luckily, you know. But you could see, the anxiety level. So this is the nature of the material world. No matter how much you think you have it together, I have, you know, I'm in pretty good health, I got a good job, everything is nice, you know. There's always a threat, as we know very well, of danger coming and taking that away, something quickly happening. And we know to our friends, we read about it all the time. It's just the nature of this world. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Krishna has certified it's full of misery and it's temporary. Any situation you have. So that's what's mentioned here. Maya dhare deha samsara dukkha. Having forgotten Krishna, in our natural state, we're situated in that verse. Jivera Sodopoi Krishnera Nityadas. Our natural tendency, our dharma, swadharma, or eternal sanatan dharma, is to serve. That service is meant to be directed to Krishna. But we forgot Krishna. So we still have to serve. So we're serving our senses, we're serving our mind, we're serving our boss, wife is serving the husband is serving the wife, sometimes. Everyone's serving the children. If you have children, they require so much service. It's just service. When the body demands, every time we take a breath, we don't even think of it, but we're serving. You know, we're forced to serve. So that's the nature of the living entity, to serve. And the question is, where can we apply that service for our eternal benefit? When we serve the asat, we serve the temporary, then we stay entangled in this temporary material world full of miseries. It's all a question of the mind. Krishna explains in several places in the Bhagavad Gita, especially the 15th chapter, how the mind is one of the senses. It's said to be the sixth sense, the center of the senses. When the mind is completely forgetful of Krishna, we become absorbed in this material world. On the positive and negative side, sankalpa vikalpa. What is pleasurable? How can I get it? What is miserable? How can I avoid it? You know, there's sankalpa vikalpa. And as long as the mind is the main controller, the intelligence is also working in that. The intelligence figures out, yes, this is how we can avoid it. This is how we can get it. And this goes on, especially in the human form of life, but every form of life. The dogs, the cats, even the insects. Now it's so hot, we have little insects, you know, sometimes coming on the floor. And we try not to step on them. We're chanting, you know, Haribo, Haribo. I see, watch out for that one. See if you can save him, put him outside. We don't want to kill anyone, you know. But they're also calculating their little way. They've come across this big plain. They don't want to make of it. You know, what do they think of? They don't see a temple. They just see a vast expanse with no foliage and nothing on it, you know. But they're also, with their little brains, tiny little brains, calculating where is safety, where is food, you know, where's my mate, you know, that's it. So this is the real nature of this world. Every living, whether it's a tree, or whether it's a dog, a cat, a human being, Brahma, we're all jivas, those same jivas. And our natural position is to have that be absorbed in thinking of Krishna and our relationship with Krishna and serving Krishna. And that will give us untold pleasure. We can't imagine. And this is what we're really looking for. We are pleasure seeking. Why? Because Krishna, Anandamaya Vyasat. It says in the Vedanta Sutra that Krishna is by nature full of bliss. Why would he be otherwise? If God can't be full of bliss, then he can't be God. He's controller. But how does he enjoy? By engaging in loving relations with his servants. Not in just lording it over. That's in the modes of ignorance and passion. Krishna is the most refined and pure. And his pleasure is in actually giving his servants the pleasure of serving him. It's a very interesting thing. You know, when you study this Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna and the gopis, you know. So Krishna, what do the gopis want to do? You know, it looks like from the outside, and this is why people don't understand real Krishna Leela, it looks like some low sex thing. But it's not at all. It's explained in this book, in the 4th chapter of the Adi Leela, the first section, that the gopis are very, very passionate to serve Krishna, to please Krishna. That's their only desire. There's not a tinge of lust there. Lust is defined as desire to satisfy one's own senses, compared to iron. And love, prema, is defined as the ardent desire to please Krishna's senses. It's like gold. They're both metals, but they're opposite poles. So all of these eons we've had of births and deaths in different bodies, we've been trying to serve our own senses. And we stay buried in this material world, suffering untold miseries, birth, old age, disease, and death, those threefold miseries we discussed. That's what it means, because the mind is fixed on the material energy. Krishna described there's these three basic energies. The internal energy, composed of the spiritual world and all of the living beings there, some who aren't jivas. They're actually intimate, so like Radharani and the gopis, they're not jivas like us. But there are many jivas like us who are there serving, you see. And that's all conducted by this internal energy, the pleasure potency personified by Radharani, the existence potency personified by Balaram, you see, the Samvit potency, which is the knowledge potency. All of those are there simply conducting that, all under Krishna's will. You know, everything is pure and perfect there. No birth, no death. And a certain portion of the jivas, they want to try to be Krishna instead of serve Krishna. That's us. We're competing. And all these births we've had, who knows how many countless births. Brahma, when Brahma dies, there's a long, long period when we're all in suspended animation. We don't do anything. We have only our karmas adhering to us, and such a long, long time. So we should take advantage of this knowledge and the process that's been given for us to reverse this process. Now it says, Krishna Buli Se Jiva Nadi Bahimukha. Since time immemorial we've forgotten Krishna. So now it's time to remember him systematically. The process of bhakti, yoga, is very simply what Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita. It all boils down to this most confidential knowledge. Manmana, bhavamad bhakto, majjaji, mam namaskaru. Mama vaishyasi satyam te patijane priyosime. This is the most confidential knowledge. Krishna repeats from the 9th chapter. He says, just think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage to me. Surrender to me. Certainly you will come to me. I promise you this because you're my very dear friend. Now he's speaking to Arjuna, but we're also his dear friend. He says, Suridam Prabhupada explains in one tape, there's different, just as in English, there's different levels of friends. You know, he's an acquaintance, you know, he's a good friend, he's a bosom buddy, someone I can't live without, right? So that's Surit. Krishna, he's the most intimate friend we can possibly have. Surit means someone who always has your welfare at heart. Where can you find that on the material plane? There's always like a burnout second, you know. You're sleeping on the person's couch for so many weeks. Prabhu, you know, I'm going on pilgrimage, you'll have to get, there's always, but for Krishna there's never any burnout. Thousands and millions of lives he's accompanying us as the super soul, giving us good instruction, guiding us here and there. And when we come to the human form, he's just hoping that we'll turn to him. Now, it's very difficult to understand the super soul, but if we want, then Krishna, the super soul comes from outside, as the sadhus, the guru, and the shastra. It comes as the good book. When you read a book like this, which is completely transcendental, what we call shastra scripture, you're associated with so many exalted souls. You pick up this Madhya Lila, you're reading the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you're reading the words of Srila Prabhupada. This is the most intimate association. Prabhupada asked, he said, I put everything in my books. If you really want to understand me, you read my books. You see? These purports are my emotional ecstasies. He said like that. So, and it's still available. This is now 40 years after, more than that Srila Prabhupada has physically left. But he was so kind. He left this. He left so many recordings. I listen every day. They're available. They're free. You know, you can get that. And so many of Prabhupada's sincere followers are also, you know, good association. So that is the gift. And what is the result of this process? Well, by cultivating systematically, according to what's given in the books, and what's shown by example by those who are following the books, chiefly Srila Prabhupada, his sincere followers, one can systematically cultivate this remembrance of Krishna. Krishna Bhuli Sej even not about him. By forgetting Krishna, since time immemorial, we've been suffering from Maya. So we're in this marginal position, eternally. Marginal means tatasta, just like we have on the beach. It's very easy to see the example. If you go down there, the ocean's coming in, going out. So there's a certain portion that's covered and then uncovered, covered and uncovered by the water, right? That's the tata. That's the boundary. So we're on that boundary, meaning that this is where our real independence lies. Not in buying this, buying that, going here, going there. That's all within material energy. That's within the cage, the mouse is going here and there, thinks he's free, but he's not free. But our real freedom is in choosing to turn our face back toward Krishna, learn how we can serve him, chiefly by chanting the holy name. It's no secret, the harekrishna mantra. That's another incarnation of Krishna. The holy name is non-different from Krishna. Nama chintamani Krishna's chaitanya rasa vigraha purnak shuddho nityamukto abhinatva nama namino. Very nice verse. Nama chintamani, the holy name is like a chintamani gem. A chintamani gem is like a philosopher's stone. Whatever it touches turns to gold. You know. So in other words, you touch your mind to the sound and you become purified, become transcendentalized. Chaitanya rasa vigraha, the very form of spiritual relationship with Krishna. You begin to awaken your attraction for Krishna by chanting this holy name. It's who knew? You know, it's got a potency. I started chanting without any contact with this movement, believe it or not. I got the holy name from another society, and it was just the mantra I chose, by Krishna's grace, to meditate on. There were other mantras I could have chosen. I chose Hare Krishna. It seemed the easiest one. And it was, anyway, this is a long story. But, and just by chanting that mantra, I became interested in Krishna. So what is this? Because there was something going on. I could feel the potency, even though I was so covered, you know. So I eventually got a book. And you know the book? I highly recommend this. The Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. The Teachings of Lord Chaitanya are the essential teachings from this book. This is one of 9 volumes. It's a long book. The teachings, Prabhupada just gleaned out the teachings. This teaching of Sanatana there, you know, and to Rupa Goswami and others. Very potent book. I read that and I became very interested in his Hare Krishna process, and I got involved. And this was the one place I could go to, because I went to different yoga studios, you know, and I would be chanting on my way into the subway, you know, and by the time I got there I was all fired up, and then I had to stop chanting, because they want you to bending and stretching, you know. But when we go to the Hare Krishnas, the more you chant, the more they like you. You know, this is where I want to be. So Krishna Bhuli say Jeev, so if we forgot Krishna, let's remember Krishna. And we chant the holy name, and that's the most important. It begins and ends with the chanting. But there's so many other ways this deity form. The Krishna Janmashtami is coming up. Next week, hopefully you can all attend. There will not be a Sunday feast next week. Anyone who hasn't heard. Here. Everyone will be in LA. So the temple will be closed. One Sunday a year we don't have. But you're all invited. I don't know if there's still any bus tickets left, but you can go up there. The procession starts at 11 o'clock. You can find out. Lord Jagannath comes out of the temple with Balaram and Subhadra, and they go on a beautiful procession down in the boardwalk in Venice Beach every year. I was there at the first two. In 1977, Jayananda was there. He had passed away before the first thing, but he was Ramaswar, who was in charge. He really didn't want to do it, you know. Ratha meant San Francisco. They'd been doing it for 7, 8 years there. The first one in '67, you know. But Jayananda wouldn't hear of it, and behind his back he started ordering all the wood and, you know, making all these commitments and everything. So finally Ramaswar surrendered to it, mobilized everybody. And the first Ratha Yatra there in L.A., we had an elephant. Yeah. Elephant going down. I don't know who got the ride on that elephant, but first two we had elephants. Alice Coltrane was there. It was quite a wonderful procession, and it's been going wonderfully ever since. So that's another way to remember Krishna. There's always, especially now, this is the season of festivals. We have Balaram Purnima coming up, then Janmashtami on the 3rd, Prabhupada's appearance day on the 4th of September, and then a week or two later, I forget the exact date, Radhashtami. Someone knows the exact date? What is it? The 16th of September. So, you know, you can help, you know, with cooking, cleaning, give some donation, and in this way, you're thinking of Krishna. Krishna's reciprocating, giving you more taste for doing more, isn't it? That's how it works. So the Srila Prabhupada, he started this movement in 1966 in New York after a long struggle getting to America and working. It's a tale that will inspire thousands of devotees, millions of devotees for centuries to come. He gave everything. He was 68, got on the boat. He turned 69 on the boat, actually. And wasn't in the best of health, had 2 heart attacks on the way. If he knew that, he said if he had a third, he would have passed away. Krishna came to him in a dream and said, "Don't worry, I'm taking charge of the boat." And the Atlantic became very calm. You've heard the story. The captain's wife said, "This is the calmest we've ever had. Can you come back with us too, so that we have a calm?" They've been plying that Atlantic Ocean. So Krishna took care of Prabhupada, and then, but it was a struggle. It was a struggle. When he got to America. No money, no followers, going here, going there. And the Bowery, you know, I know the Bowery, I live up in New York. Now we have homeless people everywhere. In those days, if you got homeless in America, you went to the Bowery in New York. So they were everywhere. You know, derelicts and drunks and things. Probably had to live there, you know, in a loft. But he had his little drum, and he's playing, there's no madanga. And just playing the kirtan and singing, you know, and drawing in people. And gradually, he got a few sincere followers, got 26 Second Avenue, and you know the story is fabulous. So, and all the while he's writing his books. He's writing the Bhagavad Gita and then the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 4th canto, 5th canto. He got into the 10th canto. Get up in the middle of the night. Meanwhile, he's trying to manage, you know, crises developing here and there, sending, you know, keeping everyone alive and having to travel all over the world. But every day he would get up at 12 midnight when everything is quiet and dictate, you know, a few more verses. This way he finished 9 cantos and 13 chapters of the 10th canto. I had the great good fortune of being able to help finish that book from 83 to 89 in Miami. and we were able to finish the Bhagavatam. But this Chaitanya Charitamrita is known. Any Gaudiya Vaishnav will tell you this is the crown jewel of Gaudiya Vaishnava literature. And with Prabhupada's purports, it's absolutely the supermost potency. So here in this purport, let's just go through really quickly. Originally part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore the superior energy of Krishna, he's endowed with inconceivable minute energy that works inconceivably within the body. So we're marginal because we can go either way. We can absorb ourselves in matter, or we can absorb ourselves in Krishna. And because we're habituated to, or conditioned to be absorbed in matter, we need an intervention. We need someone on the spiritual platform to give us a clue, and we need to be receptive to that message of how and why we should turn our attention to Krishna. And that was Srila Prabhupada. And the benefits are enormous. Just in this modern world, I'll give you some benefit. The anxiety level is increased. I read about it all the time. You know, people are so worried that the economy, you know, may be flourishing for some, for the 1%, but many are still, you know, not doing so well, and they don't. And what's going to happen to the pension? Are they going to knock out Social Security? And oh my God, you know, there's one thing after another. So that anxiety is mitigated by Krishna consciousness. By absorbing yourself in Krishna, establishing a certain part of each day where there's nothing to do but chant, learn how to chant japa, and offer your food and worship and read these books, chant together at home, and whenever possible come to the temple. That will give you a sense of being transcendental to this world, because we actually are. And Krishna will mitigate much of that anxiety. Because what can you do? The world is going to do what it's going to do. But how we react to the difficulties of this world, that's in our own hands. If we know the techniques of bhakti yoga, and we practice them nicely, then we'll find ourselves more peaceful and more naturally joyful. And we'll have a real central meaning to our life. The meaning is, the goal is, which I always asked as a kid, you know, I was at 17, 18, 19, I was looking into philosophy. What's the meaning of it all? I'd studied these Western philosophers, and I never got any satisfaction. And I picked up the teaching of Lord Chaitanya, and there it was, as clear as a bell. The meaning of the whole life is to make our life successful by remembering Krishna at the end of this body. All of us have, there's an expiration date on every one of our bodies, right? Mine is sooner than most of yours probably, but it doesn't matter. Whenever you understand the urgency of it, we should practice. And as Sukadeva Goswami famously says, Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam Swadharma Padinishthaya Janma Labhak Parang Pungsan Ante Narayana Smriti. Can you understand the last line? Remember Narayan, Krishna at the end of life. Whatever you do in terms of Sankhya, your analytical process, your yoga, your Swadharma, your work, the success of your birth, of your life, Janma Labhak Parang Pungsam, will be to remember Krishna at the end of life. Well, how can you do that? We have to cultivate it between now and the end of our life. The more that we become absorbed. So take it seriously, please. You can. We have beads. We have our classes. I put in a plug for our Bhagavad Gita classes. You can see us online if you can't make it to the temple. See our friend Janardhan Prabhu. He'll tell you how. I'll make sure he's available. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, from 7:15 to 8:15. We're now in the, I think we just finished the 16th chapter. We're going to begin the 17th chapter soon. And we also, of course, have our morning. You're all invited, 4:30 to 8:30. Make all a part of it, or turn it on at home. It's again available, online. And somehow or other, add more and more Krishna consciousness to your life. That's our whole purpose of being here. And pray to the beautiful Radha Giridhari. If you need some prayers, we have them. Tulsi, rather Kunti, prays. She says, Trai me ananya vishaya mati madapate sakrit ratamund bhataradha gange vaugamadan bati. O Madhava, please ever fill my mind with thoughts of thee, not any other kind, as Ganges torrent flows into the sea, that all might love flow constantly to thee. The Bhagavatam is filled with prayers like that, and in good instruction. So this is why we're here, to provide all of these things to you and try to maintain the temple. We have a very nice crew of pujaris who have been dressing Bhattacharya Hari for so long in such a beautiful way. And they've come for you, you know, to smile upon you, to give you assurance. Srimati Radha is saying, don't worry. This is assurance, right? Just chant Hare Krishna. You know, everything will be fine. So are there any comments or questions on any of these points? I was advertised as a poet, so I guess I have to give some poems. Yes, please. Go ahead. Sorry. I will repeat the question. Go ahead. Yes. Okay. So this is interesting that he mentions that. He said I mentioned the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and there's another book, one volume called the Lord Chaitanya in 5 Features. So when Srila Prabhupada was writing his books, he felt the need to produce that chapter first. There were actually 17 volumes in the first edition of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But that volume, chapter, which was one chapter, 7 of the Adi Leela, was produced first because it contains a very, very elaborate refutation of Mayavad philosophy. And it also describes at the beginning the Pancha Tattva, how they broke open the storehouse of love of God and started the Sankirtan movement. It's very, very enlivening. So that was produced first. I was there when it came out in 1973-74. It was paperback, actually. And then I think it came out in hardback. And then we worked on the rest of the Adi Leela, and that eventually came out also before the 17 books. So that book I don't think you'll find available unless you get on Amazon, and it's like, someone's got an old one. It's only $75, But just buy the Chaitanya Charitamrita, or if you can't afford it, get online, vedabase.com. All the books are available. You can read. It's completely available. And Prabhupada's lectures, I can show you where you can download. Everything is available. But thank you for suggesting that. Any other questions? Okay, so I have a request. So here's a little poem that I wrote, based on many of them. What I do is I take the Sanskrit and put it into English. So this is a poem about the holy name, called the Kevalashtaka. Kevalashtaka. The reason it's called the Kevalashtaka because every verse ends in this line, Hare Nama Iva Kevalam, which you may recognize from Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Iva Kevalam, from the Brihad Naradiya Purana, which I also put into the poem. If you want to achieve the supreme goal of life in this age when dissension and chaos abound, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way that can never be found but to chant Krishna's name, but to chant Krishna's name, but to chant Krishna's name with a stout-hearted vow. And to pray, O Lord Krishna, O friend of the poor, let my head ever unto your lotus feet bow. So that's not the poem I'm going to do. I'm going to do this other one called the Kevalashtaka. So I'll give you one of the Sanskrit, then I'll just do the English. So the first one is Madaram Madarebhyopi, Mangalephyopi Mangalam, Pavanam Bhavanebhyopi, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. Of sweet things, it's the sweetest you will taste at any time. Of things that bring good fortune, it's the perfect paradigm. Of things that purify, it purifies most powerfully. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. From Brahma's realm atop the sky, down to the lowly grass, illusion reigns in Maya Devi's treacherous morass. The truth, the only truth, the name of Shri Hari, the holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. He's the Guru, he's the Father, he's the friend most true, and she's the real mother, who most kindly teaches you to always chant and hear the holy name of Shri Hari. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Now this next one is my favorite, so listen up. Remember that our final breath may come at any time, no matter if we're old and sick or in our youthful prime. So young and old alike should chant the name incessantly. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Lord Shri Hari forever dwells wherever devotees, whose hearts are fixed on him and free of all impurities, uplift their voices high and chant his name in ecstasy. The holy name of Sri Hari is surely all that be. Alas, what sorrow, what great pain, the worst calamity for people to forget the holy name of Sri Hari. Although the name's a priceless gem, mere broken glass they see. The holy name of Sri Hari is surely all that be. Just fill your ears, just fill them with the name of Sri Hari. Just chant the name with all sincerity. Just sing the name, just sing the holy name eternally. The holy name of Sri Hari is surely all that be. It makes this world appear like bits of straw upon the ground. Resplendently it reigns supreme, divinity and sound. It's filled with transcendental bliss and peerless purity. The holy name of Sri Hari is surely all that be. Now I wrote a 9th verse as a prayer. Inspired to glorify the holy... Now, for a long time we didn't know the author of this. We found recently that we know, but I wrote it as if it's still anonymous. There are many anonymous works. Inspired to glorify the holy name of Sri Hari, a certain sage composed this hymn in Sanskrit poetry. I pray that those who hear this lowly version made by me will chant the holy name of Sri Hari in ecstasy. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. All right, you like that one? Any more? Now, you know, there's a poem by one of our great acharyas, Srinivasacharya, about the 6 Goswamis. And in the 2nd verse, it says, Shri Gauranga Gunarnavana Davadho Shadhasamridhan Vito Papo Tapa the Quintano Tanubatam Govinda Ganamitai. So I'm just going to give that 2nd line. So Papa Utapa Nakunta. Papa Utapa means the terrible sufferings that are caused by great sin. You see, which everybody is suffering there. Nakuntana. They're cutting them off. They're relieving them. How? Govinda Gana Amritai. By pouring down great songs about Govinda, nectarian songs that we can sing and become completely free of any suffering. What a gift. So, by great good fortune, I've been compiling those since the 70s. My old friend Dravida Prabhu, who translated for 20 years in Dwarka. And then we got the Stavamala and the Stavabali and all the different things. So a few of those I put into poems. Here's a prayer. You can all offer this prayer to Krishna. You see? Bhujanga the Pachandagas, now just listen to the sound. Bhujanga the Pachandagas, the Kandachu Dangole, the Lankashata Kanchila, Brahmana Bodna Bringa Brahme. Patanga duhutustati, Vanukuti the Kedi Priye, Padaspudume Mohus, Try Mukunda Shuddharati. You wear the best of crests, a crown of perfect peacock plumes. Your dancing glances stun the bees meandering midst the blooms. You relish love play in a cottage by Kalindi's shore. O Krishna, may pure love for you be mine forevermore. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All right, we have 1 or 2 minutes left. Speaking of Srila Prabhupada, I wrote this for his appearance day a few years ago. But then I thought I'd tweak it a little bit so it's pertinent on any day. So this is especially from the view of one who's distributing Srila Prabhupada's books or producing them. So I happen to be in the latter category, so that kind of has that tinge to it. But anyone can. O Prabhupada, we hail the day when you appear just like a ray of Krishna's vast effulgence bright to give this blind world back its sight. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts and pray with deepest love that we may serve your lotus feet in every circumstance we meet. As years go by and books go out, we see what life is all about, to serve your mission and our Lord's by spreading wide your sacred words. As well, you want us all to strive to let those words direct our lives. This safest path will lead us home, no more in Maya's realm to roam. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So here's a couple that are just totally like playful. Did you know that Bilvamal Thakur, he wrote so many prayers, Krishna Karnamrita he's famous for? But he wrote others too. Now this is a description of Krishna throwing a little tantrum. He would do that sometimes. Nitam navanavanitam ke nitapitam payakwame murari itisamudhi latantam bhuma balam namami gopalam. Who stole my butter? Who drank my milk? And where can my flute be found? I bow to the cowherd child who shouts these words as he rolls on the ground. Or Krishna crawling. Kinkini kinkana dabasadam kunabubadinkana sadatantam kunkuna kunkuna padiyugalam kankana kadabushadim hadim bande. You learn that, you got to remember Krishna. It's the most delightful thing. I bow to Hari, whose waist bells tinkle as he crawls in his father's yard. His bangles and ankle bells softly tinkle as he melts Vrindavan's heart. It's simple, but very potent. Or uradi katamabadi bangam, nabadadadagino dasabangam, yubadi vanaya madanatadangam, panamatajamanatabikatabangam. His flute emanates entrancing sounds for the cowherd girls whose love abounds for the clever, cloud-complexioned lord who's dancing upon the Kalindi shore. I can give you all these poems. Later on, anyone who has a I'll have to bring it. You know about airdropping with the so we'll have a little thing. Anyone has an iPhone? I'll just airdrop all my poetry. Okay, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. We'll now have a little more kirtan and then the Sunday feast. But wait, before we do, I'll put in a plug. The Vyas Puja book. Every year we put out this beautiful volume of homages to Srila Prabhupada. You have a beautiful full-color section in the middle, you see? Beautiful pictures of Prabhupada. And homages written by the leaders of our movement, as the GBC, all the sannyasis usually write one, many of them. And from different temples around the world. There's always a few exotic ones you haven't heard. Some little country in Africa writes in, China, China writes. And so it's very rare. It's only 500 are printed in the whole world, and they're only $23. And so this year I'm trying to organize that. They'll be distributed on the 4th of September, Srila Prabhupada's appearance day. You're all invited to come to that wonderful festival. And so if you would like to reserve one, because it's only by reserve purchase, you can go into the store and tell Vrindavan about it, and then just sign up and pledge or give us some Lakshmi. And then when we have by August 18th, we have to have all the orders in. So please reserve your copy. It's a collector's item. Hare Krishna. All glories to Prabhupada. Hari Bol. So now we'll have a further kirtan, as I mentioned.
Hare Krishna.